Good. Ubo, the 2010 elections. Could you tell us a little bit more about them, and is this change? Is this real change?
Well, before answer to your question, I just would like to thank you guys of Free Burma campaign of the AU. AU is once upon a time, 2003 summer. It's my school as well. I've been in a conflict resolution class for 2 months. So I always appreciate that, AU commitment for change in Burma. So as well as Christine and Jeremy. So they always stand for Burma. And these great people, Jack and Rex, everybody who make this happen, Simone and Ancho, everybody who involved this, the documentary, exceptional personality of the Zaganar and everything. So I appreciate on behalf of Burmese people, I should say because I'm a representative of the people, in 1990 election is very genuine election. But 2010 election is a sham one, as everybody who been studying about Burma. Because the 2008 constitution, which is the base of the 2010 election, was, drafted by the military as they like. And it is not leading toward democracy or national reconciliation in Burma, but leading to what military hang on to power forever in Burma in the name of so-called democracy and constitution, so that we, Burmese democratic movement or ethnic equality movement, never ever accepted 2008 constitution is a constitution we don't recognize. And our party, the party I belong to, National League for Democracy, headed by Aung San Suu Kyi, never ever recognized that 2008 constitution is a constitution. As you know, because of that, constitution means everybody in Burma must have equal opportunity, regardless of their sex, their religion, their race, or nationalities. But 2008 constitution giving special, very, very special privileges and opportunity for the military class only. Military budget, military affair cannot touch by the parliament. If in the United States of America, the military budget or military affair cannot decided by the Congress, what are you going to say? That is what the Constitution of 2008, and based on that 2010 election was occurred. So that 2010 election is as the very orchestrated one, and as expected, the U.S. DP, Union Solidarity and Development Party, changed from the military backup, the wings, won majority, so that we don't accept the 2010 election as a genuine will of the people of Burma. So we want the world to know that Burmese people will not get the democratic and humanity based on that the election result in 2010. So we want, as you know, that now Zaganar and all these political prisoners are conscious. Just because of their different opinion, they're being punished for 59 years, or 30 years, or 40 years, respectively. So that as long as they are and remain in jail, Burma will not be in free one. So that we don't accept that 2010 is a genuine election, but orchestrated by the military, well-organized one.
Thank you. I'd like to open the questions up to the floor. Does anyone have any questions for any of the panelists?
Okay, I have a question for you, Rex. What first motivated you to go into Burma? And I mean, I'm in SIS myself, and I had recently come back from Kenya on a study abroad, and actually I did research on the influence of artists on young people in Nairobi, especially with having a voice and with as well as an economic livelihood, and also contributing to a safe space specifically for young people. So I was kind of fascinated that you went in to explore this comedian. Like, what first motivated you to go into Burma and to get to know him and to talk to him? Had you heard stories from people? Had you had contacts there? Like, I'm kind of curious about that.
I tried to explain this at the beginning. I was making a film on freedom of expression in 2007 and was told about comedians in Burma, how important comedy was in Burma. And in such a repressive regime, what interested me, what role did this play? And when I went there to film this other group, Moustache Brothers, I was told about Zaganar and how important he was in Burmese society, how his jokes permeated society, and how he'd been in trouble, in conflict, literally for many years, for 20 years. You know, that moment in the film when he imitates Ne Win, can you imagine? Sitting in front of a dictator and putting some plaster on your lips? I mean, it's incredible. So this man's courage is legendary, and he's fearless. And I think he is an example to younger people. I think he is an example to the human spirit. And for all those reasons, I wanted, when I heard about the sentence, I had to try and make a campaigning film to add what I had to those people around the world who know about him. There's a big job, you know, to tell people what's going on there.
I have another question for you, Rex. I'm just curious, what's Michael doing now after the film has been made? Has he continued to be involved in the Free Burma movement?
Yeah, Michael's tremendously committed to Zaganar. He funded the film. He came with me, took something of a risk. He's talked to the German Foreign Ministry. He's been on German television. He helped launch our distribution in Germany and Austria. And I think, should the occasion arise, he will come here to the States. So he's tremendously committed to Zag. He identifies with him, as a brother comedian. And I think he feels very strongly that, the world should know about him. He's on tour at the moment. He's a comedian, he's very popular. He does stand-up in front of audiences of 5,000. I don't speak any, really, I speak very little German. And I attended one of his shows, which was a 2-hour show. And he held the audience absolutely spellbound. I could see that. I said to him, Michael, I have to say to you, you have my utmost admiration as a performer. I've never enjoyed myself so much and understood so little. So he's quite something, and his commitment is all there.
Does he have any Burma jokes?
Yeah, he tells, I think in some of his stand-up routines, he tells how we arrived in Burma. Because we arrived as tourists, as you know, illegal. You know, we were just there as tourists. Of course, we had our cameras with us and our object to get to Zaganar and to the Moustache Brothers. And literally 20 minutes before landing, he begins to feel rather unwell, feel rather ill. And in the end, as we land, he's lying on the floor of the plane. And so all the other passengers go, and we crowd round him. And one of the last remaining passengers, an Israeli doctor, comes up and says to me, I'll deal with the German. Well, that was just one little nuance. But the Israeli left, and we put Michael in a wheelchair. So we come into the customs hall. Ostensibly, our object was to arrive simply as unobtrusive tourists. We arrived with Michael in a wheelchair, we go through customs, and they let us go through just like that. So maybe that was the best way to get into Burma. So he tells that story.